Imagine that you've just survived a stroke. Now you've woken up and realized that you can't swallow. Not food, not water, not even your own saliva. With every sip you try to take, you risk choking and aspiration. You can't eat or drink alone. You'll end up needing a feeding tube. You're suddenly facing life or death decisions over something as simple as taking a sip of water. This is dysphagia. It affects over half of all stroke survivors, and for many, it never goes away. Hi, everyone. I'm Jordyn Ting. I'm co-founder and CEO of Lexi Medical, and today I want to talk with you about how we're working to solve this problem. Some patients will regain their ability to swallow shortly after their stroke, but for those who don't, they face serious long-term consequences to both their health and quality of life. Patients with chronic dysphagia have an increased rate of respiratory infection, and a third will end up dying in the year following their stroke. Dysphagia impacts about 15% of stroke survivors in the US, leading to over 100,000 new cases every year. In all, these health complications increase post-stroke costs by around $5 billion in the US. People with chronic dysphagia have typically already gone through traditional swallowing therapy, but it just wasn't effective for them. So these patients are left to manage their symptoms through restrictive diets, invasive feeding tubes, and even increased supervision during all meal times. A few other treatments have begun to emerge in some clinics, although importantly, these options generally do not lead to long-lasting improvements, are ineffective in treating chronic dysphagia, or require users to travel to a clinic for several treatment sessions. And this can be especially difficult for those with mobility issues. So we believe that this leaves a major unmet need for assistive devices that can restore and maintain safe swallowing at home. Post-stroke dysphagia arises when people are unable to coordinate control over their muscles due to weakness or paralysis. For the first time, our team is leveraging a safe and approved neuromodulation method known as deep brain stimulation, or DBS, to improve this dysfunction. You've probably heard of DBS being used to relieve symptoms of Parkinson's disease or essential tremor, but we're using DBS in a new way to target novel structures in the motor thalamus using novel stimulation parameters. This allows the user to generate increased voluntary activation of their muscles to address the loss of control and weakness that causes dysphagia, and to support safe and efficient swallowing. You can think of the system as like a pacemaker for the brain. It's fully implanted to assist swallowing seamlessly in the background as the user goes on about their daily life. And it requires no adherence to a strict therapy protocol from the patient. Additionally, we believe that these novel thalamic targets can be stimulated in a similar way to address other functional deficits, including speech and upper limb movement and other neurological conditions. We've already been able to collect pilot data in human participants, showing improvements in muscle activation and functional improvements in swallowing, speech, and upper limb movement using commercially available devices. Over the last couple of years, we've been able to work with a subject who has an approved DBS system for clinical reasons, but we've tuned his stimulation location and parameters to improve his motor function. Here I have an X-ray study with the subject showing him swallowing food with and without DBS. You can see that without stimulation, after that first swallow, there's a lot of residual food left over that gives him a chance to aspirate or choke. And it also takes him about twice as long to finish swallowing with stimulation off compared to DBS on. As I mentioned, so far we've used commercially available DBS systems to acquire our early clinical data. These systems are currently sold by a few large companies, including Abbott, Boston Scientific, and Medtronic, and are FDA approved for a few motor and psychiatric conditions. While we initially tested our idea using similar hardware, Lexi Medical's mThal DBS system is being developed to deliver therapeutic stimulation with parameters specific to improving post-stroke motor function. The stimulation will be optimized through our custom electrode leads that target novel brain areas and our programming systems that allow for precise target identification and stimulation parameter selection to enhance swallowing and other motor outcomes. While the system design and indication is unique, we can leverage existing clinical procedures for implantation. Our custom multi-target lead is designed to target multiple regions within the brain. And in the OR, the surgeon will use our closed loop targeting procedure to quickly optimize placement of the lead that produces the greatest increases in muscle activation for improved swallowing. When combined with our stimulation programmer and optimization algorithm, our full system will enable automatic stimulation parameter selection and adjustments using each patient's electrophysiological data. Up to this point, our intellectual property has been filed through the University of Pittsburgh and protects our novel indication for swallowing and motor function improvement, our therapeutic stimulation method and system, and our targeting and parameter optimization procedures. With a large population of stroke survivors affected by chronic dysphagia and limited treatment options, we believe that there's a substantial demand for a solution that can restore safe swallowing. Around 1.8 million new cases of post-stroke dysphagia occur globally every year, leading to a total addressable market of around 52 billion US dollars, which we've based on an average sales price of around $35,000, which is estimated from existing devices and reimbursement codes. And importantly, we have consulted a reimbursement consultant who has said that we should be able to fall under these existing codes. In the US, we estimate around 100,000 new cases every year, giving us a serviceable market of around $3.5 billion. But our initial focus will be on 10 academic medical centers that are spread geographically throughout the United States and that are leaders in deep brain stimulation, representing around a $1 billion market. Importantly, this is just a fraction of the 250 medical centers that are currently performing DBS surgeries within the United States. Looking ahead, we see significant expansion potential into other motor functions like speech and upper limb movement, as well as into people with motor deficits from other neurological conditions, including traumatic brain injury, ALS, and Parkinson's disease. We bring value to patients, payers, and healthcare systems through restored swallowing. First and foremost, motor thalamus DBS eliminates life-threatening swallowing risks, protecting patients from aspiration, choking, and associated complications. Additionally, it lowers healthcare costs by reducing dysphagia-related morbidity and mortality, shortening rehabilitation stays, and minimizing costly readmissions, helping to deliver a measurable impact on both clinical outcomes and system-wide resource utilization. Finally, our system will integrate seamlessly with existing neurosurgical infrastructure to enable rapid market adoption and implementation within hospitals with existing DBS programs. Here's our team. I'm currently a postdoc and plan to join Lexi Medical full-time within the next 2 years when we spin out from the university. My co-founders, Dr. Elvira Pierandini and Dr. Jorge Gonzalez Martinez, have years of experience in neuromodulation and neurosurgery. We've also been working closely with business advisors to navigate the commercialization pathway for our system. I want to quickly share some of our past and future milestones for the next couple of years. Importantly, we've already published results from our first studies in both non-human primates and human participants. And we're now conducting 2 short-term clinical studies, one in chronic stroke patients with the support of Boston Scientific, and one with foundation funding and subacute traumatic brain injury patients. Looking ahead, we'll submit an IDE application to the FDA later this year and begin our long-term IDE feasibility study in 2026. In parallel, we've been working toward commercialization of our system. We've already conducted over 200 stakeholder interviews to ensure that there's a need for our solution and to understand implementation of our system within the healthcare system. We're now working on algorithm development to support an STTR application early next year to further our product development. Up to this point, we've leveraged around $250,000 in non-dilutive funding to demonstrate proof of concept in humans, as well as develop our 3 patent applications. We've also recently received an additional $500K to support further clinical work and an IDE submission over the next 2 years. Given where we are, we would really benefit from more expertise in developing our first prototype, as well as in building out our clinical strategy. So I want to bring us back to the reason why I'm here today and ask you to join us in working to restore health and independence to patients living with chronic dysphagia. Thank you, and I'll take any questions.